good, homies? It's your man, Dr. BOA. You know, these young women, the millennials, but especially the Generation Z women, the early 20s women, there's something wrong with them. They believe that they have power. They believe that they're great. They believe that the reason why they can't find a man to do anything but play with them like a play toy is because they're so strong and so independent, and because they're so powerful and they get so many things done in this society. It's just a bold-faced lie. It's illogical. It's impractical, and it's not based in any reality or factual evidence. Now, somebody sent me a little post on IG, man, where this chick, man, quick little TikTok video, man, and she said the reason why men hate young women is because they're so powerful. Because they have figured out that they don't have to be oppressed anymore. I think she actually says suppressed anymore. And I thought to myself, I said, man, this chick is in her early 20s. She don't know nothing about women being oppressed. She don't know nothing about nobody being oppressed. Since she been in the world, everybody been, even her mama, since her mama been in the world, everybody been able to do whatever they put their mind to. See, what we have is the fallout from the lack of accountability placed on women over all of these decades. So now you have a young woman who believes that no matter, in spite of her idiosyncrasies and her foolish ways and her idiotic outlooks and her illogical banter and illogical perspective on life, that she's just so great that any man who doesn't want her must just be in his feelings because she's so great. Let's take a deep dive on this one. But first, let's elevate to a higher plane. Prepare for takeoff.
The reason why men hate this new generation of women so much is because we're finally starting to realize how powerful we are and how much potential we really have in this world. And the only reason we're starting to figure that out is because we finally don't give a what they think. Because all they've been doing for I don't know how long is suppressing us.
Now, this is going to be a serious deep dive, man. Because one thing that bothers me in this society is the fact that women have been told that even though they didn't go through any type of struggle, they are flying the flag of some battle that they've never seen take place. Because technically speaking, if the black man has been out of the household since the 70s and is not reversing in the other direction, how have black men been oppressing you? That's one illogical perspective. See, you can tell when somebody's young because they have no historical data to account for the mindset that they're living with right now. The second thing is this: you ain't got no power. Your power is the power of deception. Just like the Black Lives Matter chick. Her power is the power of deception. She put something out there, drummed up support for it, which I never supported. You understand? I, for one, am not supporting anything that starts with that a woman founds. I'm not supporting anything with a woman that's the foundation. Not because I don't like women, but because I don't follow women. I love women. I love women when they're in their proper position. And leading me is not the proper position of any woman. So if it's founded by a woman, it's for women. Black Lives Matter is a perfect example. No woman can argue with that. Black Lives Matter is the perfect example. Here's a woman who starts something under the guise of being for the protection of black men. And what happens? She makes off like a bandit with the money and starts balling out. Because you know what happens? You give a woman a certain amount of money. Boy, it's only a matter of time before she start balling with it. She's going to show you she got that money. Now, the main thing that is taking place is that you have young men who are more focused on impressing one another in feminine ways, who have more focus on doing what women want them to do and bragging about playing that position of servitude. So their partners, their little buddies, take on that same mantra. And so the girls around see, okay, I don't even have to try to look sexy anymore. I don't even have to try to look beautiful anymore. I can be whoever I want to be. And now these guys are going to worship me. And this is where this young girl right here is. She's wondering why no man likes her. No man doesn't like you because men like women. And what's the number one rule to be a woman? Femininity. Men like femininity. Masculinity is the opposite of femininity. Opposites attract. Masculine men don't want masculine women. And that's just the reality of it. No more than feminine men want masculine women. Like opposites attract. And so if men don't like you, it's because you're not feminine. You're not ladylike. You're not a woman. You're just a female. And the reality of the scenario is when we're in a society where young women like this are the speaking voice for women, oh, women are lost. Women are very lost. See, as men, the OGs speak for us. You understand what I'm saying? The men who have lived life, the men who have accomplished things, the men who have had failures, the men who have had successes, the men who have navigated issues, the men who have been trapped by issues, the men who have broken out of bondage, the men who have been in bondage, the men who have experienced the ups and downs, highs and lows of survival to a certain point in this life, not unscathed, but unstopped, unbroken. Those are the men who lead us. Women will follow a woman who's 20, which makes no sense. So who she's speaking for is women who probably aren't the most attractive and who don't embrace the power of femininity. If you're not a feminine woman, you have no power. The power of a woman is her femininity. The power of a man is his masculinity. Find me a man whose power is in his femininity. Find me a woman whose power is in her masculinity. Don't worry, I'll wait. The bottom line is, if you're not liked by the opposite sex, it's because you're not who you're supposed to be as the gender you are. If you're a man who can't get women to respond to you in a positive manner, you probably should check your masculinity. If you're a woman who can't get men to respond to you in a positive manner, you should probably check your femininity. The bottom line is, no matter what you pile up, no matter what you do, no matter what you go through, you must maintain the essence of who you are. And as a woman, that's your femininity. And at your age, shawty, you ain't even come up with no femininity. You don't even know what being feminine is yet. Now let's talk about this power you have. What power? Who gave it to you? What can you make happen in this world? Getting a little pissant job does not make you powerful. That's peanuts. If we're going to talk about money, 6 figures is peanuts. Listen, I'm not saying I don't enjoy making 6 figures. I'm saying that it's peanuts when you look at finances. It's closer to the bottom than to the top. So where's this power coming from? It takes way more money than that to have power. Education. For all the education that you have, you've only learned. What have you taught? If you have a master's degree, what have you taught? A bachelor's degree, you haven't taught, you haven't even learned enough. So this power, where is this power coming from? What power? The power to know that you can think you have power and be okay? All you have is the power of living in a fantasy world. And you can portray that fantasy world and perpetuate that fantasy world. See, it's not powerful to be able to label men body shamers so you can maintain being out of shape. The fact is, you're out of shape and you're unhealthy. So you can do whatever you want to do and say whatever you want to say. But when you're 45, 50 years old and you send down to the doctor and they're telling you they might have to amputate your ankle because you've been, so heavy for all of these years that your blood flow is slowed down so much, when they're telling you that they got to go in and put a stent in your heart because you've been so out of shape and so unhealthy all of these years, then you're going to look back and say, well, at least I ain't got to be body shamed. Okay, let me ask you this. And this is no knock on anybody who's had an amputation. No amputee. This is not a knock on amputees. My father was an amputee before he died. So here's what I'm saying. I won't say embarrassing, but what would you have a bigger physical problem with? People pointing out that you're overweight? Or little kids looking at you in fascination because one of your legs is cut off up to the knee? See, adults aren't going to be look at you in fascination because we know life. But a little kid may come up and say, Mom, look, that lady she only got one leg. You understand what I'm saying? This isn't about power. This is about powerlessness. You have no power because here's where power starts. Power starts with knowing who you are internally, building that person up and attacking the world with that person, letting the world know that this is the person that I am. You spend your whole life as a woman trying not to be a woman, only to realize when you're 60 years old that you're still a woman. That's why Eartha Kitt went nuts. She spent her whole life trying to tell herself she wasn't a woman. She spent her whole life trying to tell herself that women were as strong as men. She spent her whole life trying to tell herself that she had power, only to be sitting over there by herself, screaming out at a reporter with cats and dogs all around the yard. If you don't embrace who you are, you'll never be anything or anyone. You're either going to be who you are or you're going to be who they want you to be. And all this media, social media, mass media, all of these viewpoints and perspectives being shoved down your throat, telling you that you have power, that you don't have to be feminine, that you can be a non-feminine woman and accomplish everything you want to accomplish in life. It's the very reason that the majority of women who have educations are on some type of psychotropic medication. Why? Because you have driven yourself mad trying to convince yourself for all of these years that you're not who you are. Stop living in a world that's only inside of your head. Because when that world makes you speak out of turn about it, you let us all know just how out of your mind you are. You're not strong. Men don't hate you because you're powerful. Men hate you because you don't know how to shut up. And every time you open your mouth, you talk stupidity like this. And listen, men do it too. But that ain't what we talking about. Y'all talk about that enough. Listen, brothers, we have to keep in mind that the older you go, age-wise in America, to try to find a woman, the more physically unfit she's going to be. Now, her mind is there. She got it all figured out up here. But from the neck down, she gone so far she can't rebound. And the younger you go to a woman who is absolutely mentally unstable. Mind bouncing around like it's got hydraulics on it. So what we have to do is focus on continuing to build ourselves into the best version of ourselves and reap the blessings that are in the world for us to grab. Because what we're dealing with in American society is just a bunch of foolishness. I don't want it. You don't want it. I don't like it. You don't like it. And here's the crazy thing about it. The current state of things, women don't even like it. They can say all this other stuff, but they can't admit that they don't like the way things are between us and them. And as long as they're in that state of delusion and denial, all we can do is focus on going that way. Y'all comment down below and let me know what you think about this topic, man. I look forward to hearing what you men have to say. I'm out.
Trying to become the most alpha version of you. Dying to become the most alpha version of you. Striving to become the most alpha version of you. Fighting to become the most alpha version of you. Welcome to the alpha sphere. Get money division. The place where you transform into a man on a mission.